Hello everyone and welcome to Vanguard Tactics. This is your time to get your questions in, whether they are all Warhammer 40k related. Then I'm your host, Stephen Box, and it'll be my pleasure to answer your questions. So this is a bit of a brief snapshot of what it's like when we are on one of our live lessons on the Academy called Quiz the Coach. What I do is I take the time to go through all of your questions on Discord, and we set up a really cool Zoom call for us all to meet each other, and basically gives me an opportunity to answer everybody's questions that are on the Academy. So whether it's about actually the course itself, maybe something they're working on or studying, or maybe it's something around more the rules interactions, maybe they want some help with the list. And I thought, because we are releasing the Academy and it starts in 3 days' time on the 4th, it'd be a great opportunity to show you guys at home that are subscribers to the channel a little bit behind the curtain as to one of the live lessons that we offer. Now, we do 5 live lessons a week. This is just one of them. We've got one called Pick Your Secondaries, where Michael gives you bespoke feedback on the secondaries that you pick for each mission that we give you and the scenarios that we create. We've got one with Nick where he talks over tournament preparation and helps you get ready for any local tournaments that you're going to. We've then got a new one coming with a very special guest, but I won't talk about that one too much. But then we've also got a training night that our coach Ian runs, where we do that on TTS, and you guys can play against each other, watch coaches play, and he even runs competitions and tournaments for us all. So yeah, that's ultimately, and then we obviously have our live stream game that we do on a Wednesday, which we encourage our students to get involved with. So how this is going to work today, if you have a question, then you can super chat that in and I'll answer your question for you. Alternatively, I will be going through all the questions that I have on the Academy already. Obviously, we've got the students that have asked questions, and I'll be making sure that I answer those questions first, and I'll be looking out for your names in the chat if you have any other questions. So if you are a current student and you're in our community, feel free to drop a question in. I should recognize your name, and then hopefully I'll get your questions answered for you. If I miss it, then pop it in Discord, because I'll have that open anyway. You'll know the Discord thread where to drop those messages in, and I can go through the questions there. All right. Now, I might sound a little bit out of breath. I've just done a Twitch stream with Miniature Frontiers over on Twitch. They're doing a massive fundraising event where they basically said if they raised £500 in 30 minutes for the stream, then I'd have to do 100 push-ups, and 100 push-ups I did. So now I'm a little bit, literally started this at 7 o'clock. So hence why I'm a little bit red in the face, and yeah, a little bit out of breath. Doing 100 push-ups wasn't something I've done in a while. So anyway, certainly a challenge. Welcome everybody to the chat. Yeah, we've got a super chat in already from Lorenzo. I'll come to that. We've got VT Ian. How you doing, mate? So apparently I'm a little bit echoey, so I'll try and resolve that situation for you. I don't know why that currently is. I'll try and. Oh, I think I know why. Hopefully, I think the road is. Can you just double check that is working for us now? Okay. Right, so just let me know, Ian, if that sounds a little bit better. Okay, apparently I had 2 microphones picking me up, which is hopefully why it was a little bit more echoey. So hopefully that's gone now. So we've got some other really good questions here. We've got Werpuppy can really recommend Pick Your Secondaries to help my game loads. Awesome, fantastic to see that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if you are, one thing I will say is if you're unsure about the Academy, whether it's going to be right for you, obviously we've got loads of people in the chat right now who are in the Academy that can tell themselves what they think, their honest opinion of it. But if you're unsure and you are genuinely thinking about it as an option for you to help with your gameplay, we've got 17 modules for you, and each of those modules have 8 lessons, all pre-recorded, all ready to go, all ready for you to watch, and will, as of basically the next week, all be updated to reflect the new Nephilim changes in the new mission book. Then if you're really considering it and want to have some time to talk to me about it, I'm going to put a link in the chat where you can book in a discovery call with me. So you can book in for a phone call, and in that way, if you're unsure whether it is right for you, we can spend a little bit of time just making sure I can get to know you a little bit more, and we can just go through to make sure that it is the right product for you, and I can also help you make sure that it's the right package, because we've got 4 different packages. So I'm going to put the link to that in there. That is my link to my calendar. You can book in for a free 15-minute session with me, and we can basically go over whether the academy is right for you. Okay, there's obviously no obligation to buy, but if you are considering it as a serious option, then we can obviously have a chat about currently where you're at. Because I feel like, if I was to, spend any money on anything nowadays, that I want to make sure it is a right investment, whether it's, going to help me save time, or I'm going to get a lot of value from it, or maybe it will help me save money in the long run. Whatever our reasonings to buy anything, whether it's to, increase our enjoyment, is always going to be something that I'm going to want to make sure I talk to somebody. So I thought maybe there's people sat on the fence at the moment that would like to consider the same. So you've got until the 11th of July to sign up. And obviously the course starts on Monday, but the first week is introduction week, which is why we keep it open until the 11th. Right, so Lorenzo, you've asked me a question. I'll come to that first, and then I'll start going through the questions in Discord. So Lorenzo said, in a Space Wolf army, do you think that heroic intervention with a total of 16 units, potential wrapping, 3 of them with Wolfen, fight on death, could be substitute an armor of Russ? I've chosen the Benediction of Fury. I would go for the fight last over a particular weapon. I think fight last is so important now because of, CPs are much rarer. I'd be less worried about damage output, and instead I'd be more focused on any rules that can give us fight first or gives us fight last, because a fight last is essentially 2 CPs every single turn in which you're not going to need to spend the CPs to interrupt the combat. So for me, a fight last option would most be easily preferable. I mean, take a look at my Blood Angel list now. I'm actually considering putting in another Sanguinary Ancient, just to make sure that it cuts down on my CP expenditure at the start of the game. So that's obviously something that I'm considering at the moment. So anytime now we can input rules in the game, whether they're relics or warlord traits, that actually save us CPs throughout the game, is going to be the most important thing. Putting those CPs in damage output is probably not going to be worth it, because our data sheets and our regular units can do that anyway. Okay, so Lorenzo, I hope that helps give you the answer that you were looking for. Okay, right, so let's have a little quick look at some of the questions on Discord from the students. Oh God, I'm knackered. Never do 100 press-ups. Literally, the blood has gone straight to my head. So where are we at now? Quiz the coach. Here we go. Right, so we've got quite a few here. Right, so Brian said, Sergeant Angle said, what would be your go-to secondaries for this list? Which missions would it struggle with? We've got Imperial Knights, we've got a Paladin, he's a Warlord, he's a Princept, a Knight Crusader with Masterful Tactician, 5 Warglaves, 2 Warglaves. Okay, so this list in particular, I think Knights for me are always one in which is going to potentially have a harder time on some of the more action-based missions. So if we tackle that one first, so something like a Data Scryer, where you've got to spend, obviously Data Scryer is the mission where there's 6 objectives and they're in like a big diagonal down the center of the table. So what this means is you're just going to struggle a little bit getting in those additional actions, because every time you do an action, it means that you cannot use that unit to do anything else. And obviously when you're spending 180 points on a unit, you want to get in, the most value from that. So if there is ever a time a mission has a action-based economy to it, then you're going to want to make sure you're not taking any action-based secondaries, so that you can ensure that you've got one unit in your list dedicated to doing actions, whether it's secondary based or it is mission based for those additional points. But the most important thing is that you are gearing towards this. So for me, if it's more of a shooting based list for Knights, then you might want to go for something like Engage in All Fronts. If it's more combat orientated, then you could definitely be looking for Behind Enemy Lines. I think so. There's some really cool combat based Imperial Knight lists that you could run, and Behind Enemy Lines is fantastic, especially if you're Imperialis, because you've got a really cool stratagem that allows you to basically move towards your opponent's deployment zone. So I think, Behind Enemy Lines would be my go-to if I was taking Imperial Knights. And then obviously we've got some of the action-based ones in the book, which are okay, but again, we kind of want to take this to looking at it from more of a diverse range. So yeah, behind enemy lines or engage, depending on if you're going for more of a shooty approach or more combat. So engage for more shooty, behind enemy lines for more combat. And then of course grind them down. I think grind them down is a fantastic secondary, especially now, because before you couldn't guarantee getting 15, but between 9 and 12 is very reasonable for a knight player. But now secondaries are harder to score. Point score in the game isn't going to be as high. Grind them down is much more appealing because, you know, those armies that can easily score 15 onto the last, for example, can no longer do that. So now you don't need to just match your opponent in terms of, you know, oh, I need a secondary that scores 15. Now you can actually take one that can maybe get 9 to 12. And then it's been a little while since I actually looked at the secondaries in the book, but I really like the one where you have to do an action. I really like that, and I think it's definitely worth doing at least one turn with a big knight, especially I believe if he's the warlord, and then also you know, you can follow that up with some of the other war dogs later on in the game. So I think there's some really nice play there just around those three secondaries as a base. But then obviously if your opponent offers up something better like a Bore the Witch or Assassinate or Bring It Down, then you've got some flex there where you could change some of those things out. But I think if you stick to those is a rough, loose plan. Obviously if there is something that involves actions, then you might need to swap out the action-based one just so that you've got a little bit of redundancy there with your options. All right, mate? But that is a fantastic question, and hopefully I've answered that in a way which gives anybody at home that is a knight player some idea as to what to do. Also, if you are starting with Imperial Knights and you're completely new to them, you can head over to our website, www.vanguardtactics.com, and on the homepage, we actually have our beginner's guide to you know, playing Imperial Knights. We've got like a 5-step guide to playing Imperial Knights. So you can jump on with that and literally learn throughout our 5-step approach how we would tackle if we were completely new to playing Imperial Knights, what we would do. And basically we send you the cheat sheet. So all you need to do is pop your email address in that and we'll send you the Imperial Knight cheat sheet, okay? And that's on our website. Okay, I'll do another quick super chat here. Hello to everybody that's welcome. Weird Puppy, Ian James, Johnny Clark, Brian Aragon, Turkus, Johnny, Dennis. We've got another super chat here, so I'll cover that now before I take another question from the Academy. Mr. Coffee. With the CP changes, would you run a patrol battalion with 2 patriarchs, run them unbuffed, or would you run one in a battalion with a buffed patriarch instead? So I'm assuming this is for Gene Stealer Cult. Even when Jakey was running double or the double patriarch, I was still trying to encourage him to take 1 battalion, and I think that's exactly what I would do. I would not spend any CPs on an additional detachment. I really wouldn't. It is not worth it whatsoever in the state of the game at the moment in terms of, you know, how valuable CPs have now become. I would certainly save them for you know, just keeping the 1 detachment and taking the 1 patriarch. There are other great data sheets in that book that's going to do, you know, a really good job here. Ian James is one of our coaches, is just sort of saying the same as me. That's great. Aaron said, Nephilim really mixing up the meta. Is 1 CP worth to bring a save on a 1+ on an Armor of Contempt model? That's 26 wounds and toughness 8. Is 1 CP worth to bring a 1+ save on an Armor of Contempt model with... See, again, probably not. You get to the stage now where you need to look at your stratagems and think, am I just spending this stratagem because I can, or is it going to actually make a significant difference? And if it's not going to make a significant difference, then keep your CPs for something that is going to make a significant difference, like an interrupt combat, like an auto pass morale. Those sorts of options are literally game winning. Dennis has said, evening Stephen, love the show, makes my daily commutes a lot more enjoyable. Question, Plague Marines free upgrades a misprint, or is it the new meta? So it's not a misprint, it is intended. So absolutely you can get as many, or all the options for free. Same with Assault Marines, they got many of their options for free as well, which is pretty cool. Jake B has said, do you have any, this is one of our students from our Discord, he said, do you have any something for when to... So I'm actually very dyslexic, okay? So sometimes reading larger words is quite challenging for me. I'm not going to lie, I don't mind sharing that with you. So do you have any something for when you use strategic reserves, deep strike mechanics, things like hiding large vulnerable models when going against a shooting heavy army to ensure they don't get blown off the turn, for instance? Okay, so one of the things that I try to look at is, if I'm up against a really large shooting army, I'm going to want to make sure that I can, essentially hide as much as I possibly can using obscuring terrain, or if not, then dense terrain. And this is something in which I'm going to be really built around, okay? So my list is going to be built around that. So let's take, let's take kind of a repulsor executioner. I'm not going to pay the CPs to put it in strat reserve because it's just too expensive. Or what I am going to do is just find maybe some dense terrain I can put it behind, make it -1 to hit. If I can't do that, then maybe I need to pop smoke on that. But again, it's one of those things that I'm planning this in my list stage, and one of the best things that you can do, my best piece of advice here, is actually practice deploying your army. If you realize that you've got too many assets out in the open because your footprint of your army is just too large and the things that are on show are too valuable to lose turn 1, then maybe we need to cut down on the amount of options that we're actually showing our opponent. You either do one of two things. You either go all in on that thing and you take even more of them and you basically what we call threat saturate, or what you do is you take less of them and then you hide the ones that you need to hide. But I think, again, with strategic reserves now, because it's so valuable, those CPs, then I probably wouldn't do it unless it's something like a screaming jets like Eldar have, where they can literally put them in deep strike. But the thing I don't like about strategic reserves, it's too easy for your opponent to really kind of screen you out and dictate where you place those models, and then they can become pretty much ineffective. If, however, they're even being shot turn 1, then if they're not the most valuable key cornerstone of the army in the game, then at least my opponent's shooting that and maybe not against something that is more valuable. So that's not always a bad thing anyway, okay? Right, so I often do this with my Assault Centurions. I let my opponent shoot them because I know they'll waste a lot of firepower, and actually they probably won't do much anyway in that game, so they become more of a bullet magnet than anything else. Okay, so another question here, which is Super Chat, Neil Adams. Which armies do you think now have the best secondary game, now that every faction has access to all of their Codex secondaries? I mean, what a great move, Games Workshop, by the way. I absolutely love this. It's one of the things as well for me is because now they're all in one place, it means Games Workshop, we can keep it in balance and everything else. It just really helps. We've got one place where we can constantly focus on making sure that the game constantly evolves and is in a balanced state if anything goes awry. So which armies do I think are looking good at the moment? So basically, for me, one of the things is obviously, one of the armies, should I say, is Sisters. Adeptus Sorority have got great secondaries. Harlequins have got some fantastic ones. Blood Angels, again, have got some good ones. I know they are my 3 armies, but the reason why I say that is A, because they're fresh in my head, but B, because I've built lists that score them very well. So what I mean by that is I've optimized my 3 lists to be able to score their secondaries extremely well. So let's take Blood Angels, for example, or the Harlequins. They both have one thing in common, that's their speed. So I'm putting units into these lists that are going to guarantee me behind enemy lines, okay? So that is, for example, my Harlequins, I have a unit of 2 Skyweavers that allows me to shoot them, and because I put I don't put any combat weapons on them, I just put on the little grenades, they're an assault weapon, which means I can move, advance, and then shoot, and then fire and fade if I need to into behind enemy lines, and then I'm swapping CPs for VPs. So again, what we're looking to do here is every army has really good secondary picks, but what it is a little bit harder sometimes is finding the obvious ways to score them. Now, some are slightly more optimal than others, but if we looked at like the Emperor's Children that I ran it on stream, their own secondary is great, really good, where you've got to hold more, kill more characters, and shoot more units. Then that's really, really good in conjunction with their other secondary that revolves around killing characters, monsters, and vehicles. So you can start to combine some of these together, and it's looking for the similarities. So when you list build with the Emperor's Children, I'm putting in combat heavy characters, which can really do the heavy lifting for my army, which means more of my CPs and stratagems are put into those places because I know they're going to reap the reward when we actually get to the table, okay? So again, it's looking at these armies and thinking, right, how do I score that in the most efficient way? And then also, how do we start to, manipulate the army in order to maximize its options on the table? Okay, so I think we could probably look at a lot of the different armies and start to pick out some really key ways for them to score highly. It might mean changing your list construct, and sometimes my best advice would be to any of you is to step away from your army list, put it in the bin, okay, reread that codex with fresh eyes, and we teach you to do this on the academy, is actually how to analyze a codex properly, and then all the different stages throughout all the different modules that we have on this. When you look at a codex with fresh eyes, you don't have any preconceived ideas, you don't have any emotional attachment to your army or to your units. You look at them as a way of, okay, how does this army need to function in order to score more points? And by doing that, you'll probably find yourself in a much better place and a better army list once you've finished with it, okay? So this wasn't a super chat, but I just spotted this one. JD said, "Hi Stephen, more of a general question. Do you ever feel burnout with 40k? Seems like the rules are always changing with data sheets, FAQs and points. Do I suffer from burnout?" Well, I think if anybody's going to suffer burnout, it's probably somebody like me. I obviously work all day on 40k. I talk about 40k in my spare time. I play 40k in my spare time, at my weekends. It is literally everything that revolves around, well, my life now has become 40k. So do I get burnout? So I can often sometimes get burnt out with one army, and then I just freshen it up by playing another. And normally, as long as I've got two armies, I tend to feel like that's a good enough mix for me to change things around. But do I get burnt out with the change of rules? No, not necessarily. I find it a interesting part, and I love reading codexes. I find it really enjoyable to do that. It's kind of more of a hobby of mine, of reading codexes and writing army lists potentially, than actually using the models themselves. So I enjoy that element of reading codexes. I know one of our coaches, Ben Jones, feels the same as me. The points update obviously happens every 6 months. Which I don't find is too frequent. And the balance update tends to be more subtle adjustments. And all the balance updates so far, I've been really, really impressed with. And I feel like they're a subtle way of just sort of taking the cursor or the needle slightly more pointing in the correct direction to ensure that we've got a more balanced game. Because if we look back and we think, well, when we didn't have balance and when there wasn't updates, that's actually... if I ever feel burnt out or I don't want to go to a tournament, it's because I know, like I'll give you an example, before the first ever balance update, and Admech and Drakari were just everywhere, and going up against 6 planes was just disgusting, whether you were playing against freebooters, orcs or Admech or whatever. And it was a great suggestion by Games Workshop to change then that balance update to, taking different planes. And yeah, that was something that really excited me about playing the game again, because obviously it's become a lot more balanced in its approach. I love the game because it's balanced in terms of ensuring when I go to a tournament, I've got just as much chance as, giving my opponent the best game possible as they have against giving me the best game possible. And that for me is competitive. Competitive is when the game is fair for both players, and that's the most important aspect. Competitive doesn't mean win at all cost. It doesn't mean that, you're just trying to constantly win or whatever. It's not about that at all. It's about having a fair game. Okay, cool. So next question here. This is from Alex Rycroft. Any tips for avoiding list analysis paralysis? I've been playing around with lists for Nephilim updates and have spent a lot of time without landing on a list I feel really good about. Okay, so sometimes when you're writing a list, you can get a little bit too kind of narrowed in on those final adjustments, okay? So I mean, I'm in the same stage at the moment with my Blood Angels. I've got 3 current variations. With the changes that have just happened, it's given me some free points, basically, to play with. Now, I could take, in reality, any one of these 3 lists. They're very similar. We're talking like 90% of the list are the same. There's literally a 90-point difference. It's like, do I take a unit with Assault Marines? Do I take another character? Or do I just take some more Sanguinary Guard? It's basically the 3 options I have, all right? Now, I can guarantee my performance at the next GT will not change whether I take any of those 3 different lists. Guarantee it. It won't be the thing that loses me any games if I lose any. It won't be the thing that wins me any games if I win any. Because there'll be secondaries I picked incorrectly. There'll be mistakes I made at the table. They are the things that will win and lose me games, regardless of that 90% difference. Because, 3 weeks ago, when I was playing at the BAO, I didn't even have those 90 points. And I still did just fine. So if I look at it with that lens, so no matter whatever I take, as long as it doesn't detract from my army, so all I need to test out is which of those 3 options do I just prefer. Maybe it's this guy's got a cool model, or I really like this trick or combo, or I like that combination more, or when I look at the Emperor's Children, I'm like, oh, I really want a Master Executioner because I've got a really cool Sol Tarvitz model, and he's one of my favorites from the lore in the Horus Heresy series. So I've got Sol Tarvitz, the Horus Heresy model, and I've now converted up 10 of the Horus Heresy New Marines, but with some really cool weapons so that it can be my Chosen. So are Chosen the best unit in the Chaos Space Marine book? Probably not. Is the Master Executioner the best thing for his points because I have to give him the upgrade of Slanesh? Probably not. But do I love it? Absolutely. And for me, that means more than just, taking something slightly more efficient for those 90 points, okay? So, sometimes you've got to go with your heart, because if you enjoy your army list and you really enjoy using it and playing with it, and this is exactly kind of what, I'm already probably telling you things you already know, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but sometimes hearing it again, and that's kind of why in the Academy we teach you to lean into an approach, right? So, yeah, Alex, never be afraid to just take the models you love most. And, you're going to perform extremely well with them. Like, you've just gone and won our GT that we did on TTS for all of our students. So, Alex, you're a fantastic player. You've come on leaps and bounds from what I've, gathered throughout, hearing different coaches talk about your gameplay and everything. So, Alex, believe in yourself and just take the list you love and you just like the look of most, okay? Go with what your heart says rather than just, a calculator. So, I'll just see if there's any more super chats. And I'll answer any more. Okay, I'll do this one as well. Aaron said, will Vanguard Tactics represent LVTT this year, the Las Vegas team tournament? I don't believe so. I don't believe we've got a plan. I would love to, but I think it is a case of just getting it in the diary with all the other events we have here going on. So, yeah, I don't think so, but I'd love to in the future. But by the way, guys, if you do super chat us in, it really does help the channel continue. It helps us keeps the lights on and everything else. So super chatting your question in does really help. Also, if you want to become a member for $2.99, we've got loads of really cool Chaos content coming out this month. We've got, I think, 8 different videos, 8 different members videos only coming out over the month of July. You get a video every single week. On a Friday it drops guaranteed, but this month we're going to be doing 2, and we're going to try and continually doing that in the future as well. So as the memberships go up and up and up, we'll continue to add more and more value into there as well. Okay, so Lewis has said a Blood Angel question. Obviously I love Blood Angels, so I'll answer that one. Hi Stephen, greetings from Mexico. Awesome, that is fantastic. For Blood Angels, what is a better support, chaplains or librarians? So for me it's Ashtaroth or it's nobody, okay? Ashtaroth is my man. He's got to get in the list if you're taking a chaplain. I wouldn't even consider any others. They are just chump change compared to Ashtaroth. And for Libby's, might consider Mephiston, actually, or even a Libby Dread. So either option is great, to be honest. Go with whatever you love most. I'd go for Ashtaroth. He's my style pick, and he's an absolute baller and a weapon. And he doesn't really take that much, like, Like you don't need to buff him up. He just does it himself. He doesn't need any warlord traits or relics. He's just all good by himself. Right, I'll jump into Discord and answer another question. Ben H has said, when there's a big change like in the film, do you try and use a core of a previous list that you're comfortable with and adjust for changes, or do you prefer to start from square one? So for me, Ben, if I know that my list is, so on the offset, my Blood Angels were, when I looked at it in the film, I thought, okay, cool. The secondaries that I still like are still there. It's not like I was building around, to the last in like sort of an uninteractive game. In fact, the more I was leaning into, it's a difficult one because obviously, for me, knowing that I have a play style and I really like to get stuck in, knowing that I was already moving away from things like action-based secondaries anyway, more to aggressive-based secondaries like Assassinate. In that instance, my army didn't change too much. I stuck with the core and made some subtle adjustments. But if I felt like the list had 0 options in terms of its secondary picks, then I would start from square one again and go from the ground up. Or in case I've missed something that I first read on first glance, and then you kind of take stuff for granted then as well. So, Antonio from Deep Games, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. How can VT have such a wholesome crew? Greetings from Spain, mate. Well, I'd like to think I'm a good judge of character, so I like to bring on the cool kids, like obviously the most handsome man in 40k, Jake. He's obviously part of the crew. Nicole on stream has been absolutely fantastic since she's really got involved with it. Michael obviously given his expert opinion on different aspects of the game, and the tactical side of stuff is brilliant. So and Chris the Rhino is just an absolute legend. And obviously with recent additions, we've had like another Chris join us and Rich, and a few other people that have come on stream. Has been great to just play 40k with the people you love most. So that's what it's all about. Joshua with another $20 super chat. So Joshua's just joined the academies, and he's also signed up for our one-to-one coaching package. There's only 2 spots left on that now. If you're thinking about joining the one-to-one coaching option with myself and Michael on our academy, there's only 2 spots left on that. So if you do want a one-to-one call, like I said earlier, you can book in if you're thinking about joining the academy using the link in the chat now. I believe it's also in the description, and you can book in for a one-to-one call with us, okay, to find out if the academy is going to be right for you, which starts on Monday. So Joshua said, hey Stephen, how do you feel about the Alpha Legion strat to hide a secondary? Does that combat fair play in regards to gotcha moments? How does it work for secondaries that require you to do actions? Can't wait to start. Okay, so it's probably similar to the Dark Angel one, where you can basically hide a secondary, and I believe it's revealed as soon as you start scoring. So if it's action based, then as soon as you declare you're doing the action, you've revealed what secondary you've taken. Okay, you can't hide it until the end of the game and go, oh, by the way, yeah, I did an action here and here and here at this turn and then. So if it's action based, then you're gonna have to declare it. Hey, just so you know, I'm going to retrieve, Nephilim data in this corner, and then obviously you're just revealing what you've now done. But if it's something like an Assassinate, that's scored at the end of the game, so you don't have to reveal that till the end of the game. If it's grind them down, then again, I believe that's scored at the end of the battle round, so you'd have to then declare what it is at that point. Does it go against fair play? No, providing you write it down clearly. That is the thing you have to do, is write it down. And make sure that if there's any ambiguity about what unit, so if it's like you need to kill a certain unit, make sure, and there's it could be 1 or 2 options because maybe they share the same amount of points. It's completely fine, write it down and write down which unit you have to kill or keep alive, for example. Then that's completely fair. So then when you reveal it to your opponent, you can say, hey, this is what I've done. Or maybe put it on a post-it note. Hey, on this yellow post-it note, I'm going to write down that secondary. I'll keep it under the battle mat. And when I first score it, I'll show you what that is. I think that's a really fair way of doing it, okay? If somebody didn't do that, I'd be really hesitant, and I probably wouldn't feel like, potentially they're being honest. So I think as a player, we always want to do the right thing from the get-go. But the fact, Josh, that you're even worried about it shows me that you're not going to abuse it and you're going to do the right thing. Yeah. Right, okay, thank you for the super chat as well, though. Really appreciate that. So, what have we got here? Josh has said, with all the changes to Death Guard, is Morty and auto include now? Obviously, the good thing about Morty is that you pay 1 CP and you literally get 4 Warlord traits, which is crazy. So I think now he's also down in points as well. Could be a really good option for most players that are playing Death Guard, and especially because of all the points updates as well that we've just had for Death Guard. Then actually, it could be a really good, a really good option, I think, to take actually in the list. So, is he an auto include? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like kind of massive models. I think they are sometimes a little bit risky to play. It depends on the type of player that you are, whether you feel like you can actually wield him. And, again, if you like the excitement of having a big model, for me, I get a little bit anxious if I'm like, oh my God, I've got to make a 3-inch charge. Can I do it with Mortera? And oh no, I failed it and I don't have a CP reroll. That would, it destroys me. It just gives me so much anxiety, so I can't play Knights. But if I was like, okay, cool, I failed a charge with a Chaos Lord, no problem, I got another one off, charging with it instead. That's just me and my play style, in knowing myself, in how I work, in what I like and what I dislike about my own play style, as it were. So is he an auto include for me? He's a really cool model. It's going to be great to see him back on the table. Would I run him? I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would run him personally, but that is just my own play style. Okay, so Ben said, second question, how do you go about setting up your goals for an event? I went 2 and 3 at a recent GT, my first ever 2K event is in probably 15 years, averaging 72, obviously that's points, but I don't really know how I can use the SOS calculation attached to help set my goals. So you can't change your SOS stands for strength of schedule. So you can't actually change that. Okay, you can't change your strengths of schedule because that's literally like who you play in the tournament. So you can't really change that. But on our, I don't know if you've watched it yet, Ben, but we've got a module dedicated to basically tournament preparation. And during that module, I think one of the first or second lessons of it, we go over, goal setting on the academy. So that's something I'd definitely point you towards. But in short, let's just focus on that 72 average points, okay? So, for example, if you are scoring average of 72 points in each game, how do we get that up to 75? What secondaries do we need to look at? Let's take a bit of a synopsis of all of those and then set you some practice games to have to ensure that you're getting to that 75 mark as a minimum. And then throughout your games, then you can just constantly try and improve on that 72. Okay, so that's what I did with my Sisters of Battle Army when I did quite well with them. I had the goal of scoring 88 points in every single game without fail. And then I had a stretch goal of 94. So that was my parameter. I had a 6-point deviation between my losses and my wins. So if I lost, I would have to lose 88 points as long as I played the mission successfully. And if I did well, then hopefully I'll score 94 and win the game. And then I need to work harder on denying my opponent. That was really the skill of the game there, was denying my opponent enough to not outscore my 88. And that was really the goal of the game then. So once I achieved all the points I could from the primary and secondary, then the game became, how do I deny my opponent? But that's a much more like higher level thinking. But certainly starting off with just what points are we scoring at the moment is a really good way rather than win-lost, right? Okay, cool. So got a question here in the super chat. It says... Clown mode, what secondaries do you think Blood Angels can build around right now? So for me, I'm going to be taking either behind enemy lines, or I'm going to be taking the one which means I've got to have more Blood Angel units behind your lines than you have in mine. I'm then going to take Oath of Moment, and then I'm also going to take Assassinate. They are probably the 3 secondaries I'll take in every single game, or maybe now Banners. Banners has got a lot better, and I can do that reliably instead of maybe Assassinate, but nothing's cooler than, killing characters with big thunderhammers. So for me, probably take those secondaries as my go-tos. Pastor said, what other options do you have to start with the basic package for $99. So we have got our members area. So if you just want to get some, content from us, myself and Michael and Jake, Jakey's going to be filming some members only content with us next week. But if you want to get just more content from us, then become a member. It's $2.99. Our goal this month of July is getting 30 members on this month. I believe we've got 10 already. So if you do want to become a member of the channel, it really does help us each month. Just those smaller little amounts. So it just really helps us go a long way, especially when we can get lots of people going for it. It'd be fantastic to help us. So yeah, unless you want to go for obviously the basic package, the basic training option, which is $99, the value in that course is absolutely phenomenal. We really broke it down into helping people that are maybe a little bit overwhelmed to actually start playing. I spoke to somebody this week who's just done the basic training course, and she was like, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, but I absolutely loved it. And it is absolutely fantastic. So, she said it was a course which she thought it'd just be some lessons and videos and whatnot. But the way we break it down, and also we break each phase down phase by phase, and then we create games around just that phase, then basically you, helps just really develop and reconfirm that knowledge. So yeah, it was really nice feedback to actually have, to hear about the course in action. Pashwa said, I've become a student. Can you get a jersey? Well, if you get the gold package for the Academy, you get a t-shirt and you get our new awesome sexy dice as well, and dice back, which are limited edition as well. So you get that. Jason said, what do you get for $2.99? Sounds good. So this month, I was just trying to find the actual image. This month we have basically every single Friday you get new members content. So this month, I can't remember all the different names of all the different videos that we've got available for you. Here we go. Podcast. Let me just see if I can get this into, no, that's stream. Don't want to open that up. Force quit that quickly before it breaks everything. OBS. Let's get this picture in. Download something about YouTube thumbnails, something along those lines. Okay, where is this now? YouTube, here we go. So this is all the videos that are on the members area. Oh, that's really tiny. Here we go. So we've got on the members area this month, we got the top character combinations. This is like a combination of warlord traits and relics that are in the book for obviously Chaos. We've also got a Legion tier list. We're going to go over each of the different tiers and why we love them most. And also some of the sort of different builds and play styles you should be looking at for each of those legions. We've also got a Let the Galaxy Burn in Marks of Chaos. We explain, this video should be live now. That video goes over exactly how all the different marks work with psychic powers, priests, who can have marks, who can't, to make sure that you and your opponent aren't getting caught out at the table. We've then also got a Chaos Space Marine core units in term review. So we look at every single, so it says Chaos Space Marine top combos. This is simply for core units alone. So this again revolves around any units that have the core keyword and the best marks to give them, the best power combinations, and the rest of it to have the most flavor and fun with them. And then we're going to do the same type of video but for Demonkin, because they work really differently. We're going to do an Emperor's Children army list overview. We're also going to do a Night Lords army list overview, and then a Black Legion army list overview, and that's coming all out on the month of July by becoming a YouTube member. Yeah, there we have it. So, get involved, become a member. Like Bob Nunn, he's become a captain, absolute legend. Yeah. The other thing that we were thinking of doing is like a kind of battle royale of just characters. Like I come up with a character, Jake comes up with a character, Michael comes up with a character, Nicole comes up with a character, and we just see who has the best character in like a Royal Rumble knockout style. Obviously, it's not really competitive 40k, but it does sound quite good fun. So let me know what you think to that. Give the video a like if you think it sounds good. We're currently at 31, so that bumps up a few numbers. I know there's a good interest in the character combo battle royale. The marker has put in a £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Hey up, how would you field a Black Templars army? Play as an anvil or go on the attack, struggling with the meta armies? Personally, if I was playing Black Templars, I would go Horde. Horde Black Templars, I think, is the way forward. I wrote a list with, I believe, 80 Marines in it, and now you get free weapons. I would absolutely go for Horde Black Templars, and I would just go board control with the army. I really, really would. Take loads of characters, bait out assassinate, but never let them take it. Make sure that you've got loads of OBSEC on the table, maybe even a little bit of OBSEC denial as well, if you can, squeeze that in. But typically, I mean, like a Reaver Lieutenant would be perfect for that in that list, just to turn off OBSEC. And then you literally just dominate the primary, bait out assassinate on secondaries, don't let them score it, and just focus on scoring in your own terms. That's what I would do with Black Templars. So we've got a couple of questions here. Hi Stephen, is DWAOR dead? Is that Death Watch AOR? AOR, not sure what that means. AOR. Peshwa said, Pashur 30, I bought my first LVO. I assume I'll see you there. Yes, I'm going to be at the LVO this year, or 2023. We are also doing a workshop as well. So if you want to come to the Vanguard Tactics workshop, we are running it the day before. It was absolutely awesome last time, and just a really good way to kind of get you feeling ready for the actual event. It's a really good warm-up where we pair people off and make sure that everybody's going to have a really good sort of introductory game. We go over player place terrain, we go over absolutely everything that you kind of need to know in order to get you ready, and you'll feel fully prepared for that. So what I'm going to do is put that, if you want to get the Army of Renowned, of course it is, yeah. I thought it was Regiment of Renowned for once. So here we go. This is the I don't know if this is going to take you to the link. I've just got this from Facebook. Hopefully, no, I can't link it. I can't link it, guys, sorry. Let me just see if I can get the workshop ticket up. Here we go, to the LVO Workshop. There we go, this might work now. This might work. No, why is it? No, it's too long to put in the chat. Oh, that's really annoying. Okay, you can only put like 200 words. How much is the workshop? So the workshop is either $150 for the standard ticket, for the, I think it's like a, where are we now? Let me just quickly check. You get a custom, this is what I wanted to check. You get a custom VT army tray and mat with the standard ticket as well. So you get a really cool tray and mat for you to put your army on, which will be absolutely awesome. So if you are going to an event, you can pick that up. You also get fast track to the event as well, so you don't have to queue either, which is great for registration. And you can actually get a feel for what it's like to play on those tables. And we're going to have loads of coaches there as well to make sure that each table's got a coach on it, or circulating around that area to make sure that obviously you're getting well looked after. Or we've got the VIP ticket, which includes everything that I just spoke about before, obviously the ticket to the actual workshop, and then also you get you come out for dinner with us after as well. So obviously we can chat about 40k until our heart's content into the early hours of the morning. But yeah, that is what you get. Also, I create a Discord channel for people so we can talk. You can get to know each other before we actually go out to the workshop. So that's all coming as well. So we've got Richie has put in 50 GTQ. Hi Stephen, I have a doubt about the CPs is working with Chaos Knights, since always one's pays for a relic and one's for the warlord trait. Yeah, I think with Chaos Knights and Knights in general now, you're going to be limited to 2 big Knights, so they can both have a warlord trait and relic, and therefore you can make sure you can basically then start the game with 2 CPs, and then when obviously you gain one from your opponent's turn, if you're going second, then you've got 3 CPs to play with to rotate Iron Shields or anything else you need to do. So I think, yeah, 2 big Knights, probably the way forward. Or you take like a shooty 3rd Knight and you don't give them anything, and you just keep them in the backfield, out of harm's way, away from combat, and you just shoot away until your heart's content. Jake B has said, if you finish a game a little early and have 30 minutes extra time between rounds and event, how would you spend your time? Likewise, if a game goes all the way to the time for both players, how do you use the narrower window between rounds to mentally reset, collect, relax before the next game? So Jake, is a really good question. This is another question from our academy. So Jake, what I tend to do if I've got 30 minutes is go outside, get some fresh air, get a drink, start hydrating again, try and get some food in nice and early, beat the queue. So that's kind of what I do if I've got, if I finish up early. If, however, I'm running out of time, what I'll start to do towards the end of the game is be a little bit more cautious in my opponent's time of what I'm doing with my models. So when my opponent's like in his movement phase or whatever, I'll look over to my dead pile of models and start putting them on my tray. I'll start basically packing up. So as soon as we shake hands, put the scores in, I can pick up my tray, pick up my bag, and move on to the next round. And then again, what I'll typically do is go outside, find some fresh air or a space where nobody else is, and basically just have a couple of moments to think, right, what went well during that game? What could I have done better? And then sit and wait for pairings to come up. I'll try to, as best as I can, it's actually a little bit obviously maybe harder to do now because I have a larger team around with me, but sometimes being just alone for 5 minutes can really help me just relax and reset. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I typically do. Johnny, he said, same question regarding a major change like Nephilim. How do you approach list building? So yeah, again, Johnny, for you, mate, with your sisters, you've come out really well. So I think, what I would do with you is look at your current build and see how you can amend it, and then actually write a completely different list as well to see if you can write an even better one with fresh eyes. I think that's sometimes a really good thing to do. So you've got two alternating lists, but with a slightly different play style. Andrew said, Alexander van der Brink is from our academy as well. Handshake or fist bump, depending obviously on my opponent. And then Brian Anderson said arm wrestle. Of course, arm wrestle. You've got to go straight in with the arm wrestle, obviously post game. But yeah, it depends. Obviously, handshake now with less COVID and all that kind of good stuff. Or sometimes maybe a man hug or a cuddle. There's nothing wrong with that either. Either or. Gio said, what are the 5 things to do during a tournament to keep yourself energized and minimize decision fatigue? So 5 things. 5 things that I do to minimize that. So I take my list building is number 1. We first of all have Johnny Clark, sisters, Black Templars. We have no. Sorry, I thought that was other Johnny, mate. Sorry. What was I going to say? I'll come back to your question, Johnny, in a second. You just throw me off. But yeah, sorry, I got the wrong Johnnies around the wrong way. I thought that was Johnson. So what was I saying? 5 things I do. So list building is 1. Obviously, first thing is I make sure that, let's take my Sanguinary Guard, that all units of 7s, keeps it easy. With my Harlequin, my Dark Harlequins, every unit had exactly the same loadout, so I don't need to worry about what weapons in what unit. I then colour coordinate my army, so I know this is squad A, this is squad B, this is squad C. I then practice my deployment, so I know where everything's going to go beforehand to make sure that I'm obviously well practiced with that. So all the elements of decision making I can do before I get to the tournament, the better. I already know what secondaries I'll take against each opponent on what mission, and then just kind of then it means I can just ensure that I'm really focusing on making sure I'm bringing my best game to the actual table then. Apollo with a 199 super chat. He said Carl Grundy is the best character. Carl Grundy is the best character. He's a character in himself. And I know Apollo, Carl said how well you've been doing, mate. Obviously working with him on a one-to-one basis. So Apollo, thank you so much for all the time you've put into the academy this year, mate. You've absolutely smashed it. And long may it continue. I'm sure the journey's just begun. So Johnny, in terms of you, mate, with your Black Templars, let's go right from the basics. I think I spoke about Black Templars earlier. I think we want to go full horde mode, Johnny, with the Black Templars. I'd love to see you play that. That would be absolutely awesome. And I think that would really push you as a player as well. So Jason's put in with a super chat of 449. My brother always brings a Necron Doomsday Arc to our battles and I hate it. I play Orcs. Any tips for getting rid of it quickly? So I think, Jason, if there's any time like your opponent brings a model that you really dislike, avoid it. Honestly, just avoid it. I think if you're worrying about it or worrying about trying to kill it, if you don't have sufficient tools in the toolbox to deal with it, at the end of the day, Orcs or a combat army, it's going to take you a little bit of time to get there. Don't be in a rush to get rid of it. Play the mission, focus on your game plan, focus on scoring your secondaries, and just leave the Doomsday Arc alone. Okay, it'll kill something, but it's going to be more scared of you than you are of it. So if you can really focus on that, then you're going to make sure that you're putting yourself in a great position then as well. So and then you're not going to tilt as well, especially if you don't kill it. Okay, Derek has said with a £5 super chat, hey Stephen, how would you build and play a slow Eldar Wraith army with the focus on fast armies? It's hard to find resources on playing a slow one. So how would I play a Wraith army? So again, similar to my Assault Centurions, for me it's going to be a case of like pushing that unit, moving, advancing as quickly as I possibly can, using your fate dice to use that advance roll to get them into the center of the table as quickly as I possibly can. And that's certainly what I'm going to do, is build essentially a castle for me, so where all of my units can protect one of each other. They're there to back each other up. I've got good screening units, and then I'm going to take secondaries that are a little bit more defensive, like raise the banners, and then maybe something like the psychic secondaries of mental interrogation as well, where you can kind of sit 24 inches away behind your big shield wall of wraiths, keeping scoring, have some objective secured manipulation in there as well, so then your big bricks can then actually contest objectives, like maybe the bike, that's objective secured as well, so it can pop around and do great things for you. So that's typically how I would build it, and force your opponent to stop you scoring. That's exactly what you want to do, is force your opponent to engage you as a defensive player. Okay, so let's go back into Discord. Kenneth said, hi Stephen, I'm struggling versus Eldar with Sisters, specifically Hail of Doom. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how would you approach the matchup. I'm finding opponents are threat ranging me. So look, I think number one, sometimes you just got to accept there are bad matchups in the game, and Eldar are a very bad matchup for Sisters, especially Hail of Doom, even with the nerf now. They're very, very efficient at killing toughness 3 models. I think the way forward of Sisters now is, it always was, transports. I used to run 3 rhinos, and I think I had a list with 2 rhinos and another list with 3 rhinos. And now you've saved points since then as well. I think Sisters are in a really good place, and just keeping your units in those transports forces your opponent to actually have to bring out these units to deal with the rhinos. And then what I used to really like doing was putting like a unit of OBSEC in the rhino and then a unit of non-OBSEC, and then parking it up against like a line of sight blocking wall. It blows up, the objective's secured, jump out on the other side of the wall then, so they can't be shot. And that's kind of typically what I would do. So and then hopefully by that point your opponents run out of activations to actually engage you with, and that's kind of what I would do. So yeah, hopefully that helps, but I think really building around some transports is going to be key with Sisters builds. Carl Grundy, Coach Carl, I was just singing your praises, Carl, and you're already late, so you have to watch back and realise what I said about you. Derek said, Derek said, how do you feel the changes encourage army archetypes to focus builds 1 or 2 main stratagems? And if so, do you have some examples of army builds and key accompanying stratagems to build around? Okay, so I think for me, it's so obviously, I mean, we've got such a big diversity here. We've got 22 different factions, right? So what would I be looking at? Armies that can engage your opponent. So if we look back at the academy, we obviously focus on those key teachings of, the objectives that you're going to, which is your non-negotiable, the one you're going to fortify, and the one you're going to sabotage. So what you want to be doing is ensuring you've got enough units to sabotage, and that's the real key one here, especially in this new meta. And then what you're allowing your units to do that are on the fortify or non-negotiable objective is to start doing actions for you, so they can become have like a dual utility for you in a role for you in your army. So for me, in terms of ensuring that my sabotage units are doing the job they need to do or creating a kill zone, then what we need to make sure we've got is the stratagem support to ensure they do what they need to do. So you can't not have the unit go in and not do the thing it has to do, like kill a knight, for example, or kill a unit of 20 orc boys or whatever. It has to go in, it has to do it. So what stratagems are we going to use to ensure that actually happens? So sometimes stratagems can be used in an offensive way, and sometimes they can be used in a defensive way. For me, for my Blood Angels, they're used as a defense rather than offense, and my characters will buff up my offense enough alone without stratagem support. And then I'm just using things like 2 CPs to interrupt combat, or Angel Sacrifice, or Heroic Intervention. So I'm using my stratagems there to defend my army, to keep it alive, to let my data sheets do the work. Whereas sometimes an army that relies on offense, it can't really do both. You can't rely on stratagems now for offense and defense, and hopefully you've tabled your opponent by turn 3. That's not the case anymore. You need to, give yourself all 5 turns to play the game. So pick one, stratagem support for offense or stratagem support for defense, and then take characters that supports the other. Okay, that's going to be what I would sort of suggest you do there. Okay, these are actually great. Honestly, these are some really, really good questions. Really good questions. So any more questions? Levaris said, if Wraiths got Armor of Contempt, they would be super solid. Well, they do. You just have to take them as Elandon, and they ignore -1 in 2 AP, I think. So, yeah, they're super strong. So I believe that is everybody's questions. I can't believe I've been going for over an hour already. This has been an awesome, awesome one tonight. Obviously, feels a little bit different to... normally, because we do this on Zoom, I get to see everybody's beautiful faces, and it's actually a really nice time on the Academy to actually just sit and chat with everybody. I really look forward to our Quiz the Coach sessions. I really do, because it is a great time for me to actually see everybody. So what I want to... Is there anybody at the moment that's in the chat and maybe you're potentially thinking about joining the Academy? Let me know in the chat if you are. Put a I'm interested in the chat, or in the comments if you're watching this back. Let me know, and obviously if you've got any questions, then obviously I can answer those. But I've just put a link into the chat about the discovery call. So if you want to spend 15 minutes with me going over the Academy options, having a bit of a look inside if that's what you're interested in, I can even take you inside the Academy now if you want, actually, to see. You can see all the modules and everything that's already laid out. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. Put I'm interested if you're thinking about joining the Academy but maybe haven't signed up just yet. But book in for that discovery call and I can go over it with you. Because I'm not going to want anybody to join that A, is a win at all cost player anyway. No. We don't want those people. But more importantly, I want to make sure it's perfect for you. I don't want anybody to join the Academy and not have a good time. Okay? I really don't want that. And if you join the Academy in the first couple of weeks, you think, Steve, you don't even know what you're talking about. This is terrible. Then ask me for a refund and I'll just give it to you. Okay, so if you say, Steve, you don't know what you're talking about, I want a refund, then I will give you a refund, because I don't want anybody to walk away from VT either having a bad experience or not getting good value. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Jason said, I'm interested. Jason, book in for a call with me. I'll put the link in the chat there. Book in, mate. It'll be fantastic to, book in with you. So once again, what your think about the Deathwatch Army of Renowned. Michael's going to be a much better person to talk about that. I think it's still got really good play. Michael did fantastic with it last year. He only kind of moved away from them because he got excited with Chaos Knights. And he just wanted a bit of a break because he'd played the army for a year. So, I think, the Army of Renown is still strong. It's a still really good Marine book. The fact that it's got some really good secondary picks as well just makes it even more achievable. Michael, I think, was saying how really happy he was with some of the new secondaries for the book. So, yeah, I definitely think they are in a really good place in terms of a marine build at the moment. Yeah, definitely keep looking at it and keep working at it. Aaron, I'd love you to join the Academy, mate. You're a fantastic player, and it'd be great to work together even more so and have you in the community, because you'd be fantastic for it. You really would. Kudos Kismet said, I just joined the Academy last go round. It's really comprehensive guides. It's really worth the investment. Thank you so much. Kudos. I hope you're staying on as well with us as a community member. So once you finish the 17 weeks, we give you an option to stay part of the Discord and also get access to those 5 weekly live lessons a week. You still get your lifetime access to the course, obviously, but obviously if you want to keep getting access to all those different live lessons, it's a very, very affordable amount that we've made it. Literally a no-brainer amount for hopefully many of you to stay with us. And we've also now included all of the YouTube members content as well. So you get the members content, you also get the support from all the coaches, all the live lessons, and that is something you can only join once you have you can join the course and get it for the 17 weeks if you're on the silver, gold or platinum package, or if you you graduate from the course, you can join that, and I believe it's $9.99 a month, so $9.99 a month, basically $10 a month, and you get all of that once you finish the 17 weeks. So you don't have to just leave us, you can still stay with the course and the academy and the team, because no doubt you've made loads of cool friends, and kudos, would be great for you to continue with us. And if you're on bronze and want to upgrade to that, then just shoot us an email and we can get you signed up for it. So are Orc custom jobs free? Well, if they're not written in the book, then I would say yes. Yeah, I would go with that for now. If they're not written in the book, I think it's only 1 per detachment, right? So assume they're free then, yeah. Andreas, any takes, advice on Necrons? I will be honest, I haven't had quite enough time with the Necrons just yet. For me, I'd be looking at like a really combat-heavy destroyer build, really would be. That's kind of what I'll be looking at doing. So Ophidians, some big old destroyer bricks, some destroyer lords. I think that just sounds like such a cool, fun army. Yeah. Joshua said the personal commitment and connection you tried to make through the workshops and the community speaks for itself, mate. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, mate. Brian Aragon, how much is it just to look at the modules? What, in terms of a super chat? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Whatever you want, Brian. I can show you through the modules. If you just want like a quick, I don't know what you mean. Do you want a quick glance now? Or do you mean just the course and the modules and the lessons? Because that is the bronze package that you need. So I think I missed a super chat. Sorry about that. I'll go back and do that. So yeah, that is the bronze package, Brian. If you want to get that one, I will just find the link to the course now, and you can have a look in that, or just, I tell you what, book in a call with me and I can take you through it, and we can do a Zoom call and then I can show you all the different lessons and modules as well. Okay, Dirk Smith, same for you. Booking for a call with me and I can take you through on a Zoom call basically all of the behind the scenes and everything like that as well. Okay, what I can also do is I'll probably open up some more slots for more calls as well, because I think I did three this week. I'll probably have to do some more next week. And there are only now 2 spaces on Platinum left. The Platinum package is nearly sold out. There's literally only 2 spaces left, because we like to keep a really tight core group of people for the Platinum package because of the one-to-one coaching element that it includes. So Goran said, so sorry I've forgotten your super chat here. Goran with €5 said, how would a competitive Ultramarines look like in your opinion? Or what is a good foundation for an Ultramarines competitive list? So I really, really like the look of the new Regiment of Renown that came out for Ultramarines. Or it's not a Regiment of Renown, it's a supplement. It's the I've forgotten the name of it now. It's a Primaris only army. It's an Ultramarines successor chapter. Came out in one of the most recent books that was released. Something Drift, I think. I don't know if I've got that right or not. But anyway, so that army itself, you've got really great pre-game moving abilities. Obviously, you've got fantastic redeployment. And there's some really cool stratagems in that book for like rerolls against units in your own deployment zone. I believe there's like a 5+ feel no pain you can get when you're on an objective. For me, that's where I'd start to look. And then I would start to build around data sheets that do not need stratagem support. So things like, Invictus Warsuits starting up the field, I'd probably look at those. Maybe some really big Gravis units as well that are nice and durable now with Armour of Contempt. Maybe even Assault Intercessors. Not Assault Intercessors, Assault Centurions. Probably give those another look now. Assault Marines look nice for their, I really like using them for Blood Angels, but having a 1 CP stratagem for them so they can fall back and shoot, fall back and charge. If you did start to take the Assault Marines, obviously you wouldn't be able to take the new supplement because they're not Primaris, or the Assault Centurions, but there's different ways to go here. So without, spending too much time on one particular area or just obviously looking at a list. But yeah, I think any ways as well we can start to add in, like a character to give us CPs, which, the Ultramarines can do. I'd certainly look at that. I think Captain Sakaris, who gives out OBSEC, I believe. I think that's his rule or something like that, some sort of special rule he gets. You want to start taking these characters now that are named characters that give you abilities built in without needing to take warlord traits or relics on them. That's really kind of where you want to be going, all right? The Major 91, big fan of your work, taking Black Templars to their first event and running Klux Assassin after watching your game versus Winters with the Sisters. Seems like a good option for a combat army. He is absolutely awesome. Castellans of the Rift. Rift. I was close enough. Castellans, I've got a serious question. Who did the gravel work outside? I don't know. Jason's booked in for a call for next Friday. Awesome. I'm going to be opening up some more slots, okay, for probably Monday and Tuesday for calls as well. So if you see one of those and, you want to, book in for a call with me on Monday or Tuesday, then you can easily do that. Obviously, check out the link in the description and the link below. I'll get that booked in. Obviously, the Academy closes next Monday. But starts this Monday, okay? James is here from C Studios. He's just said, just here to say, Steve and the team are mega at what they do. Massively recommend their coaching, advice, and ethics about playing the game. Thank you so much. Also, Steve took from me a Novice Guard Commander to a Rambo in a few weeks with my Catachans. Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully Ree's getting on well with the basic training course that she's studying at the moment. I need to drop in a message of her to make sure she's finished that program because she promised me she would. So James, thanks so much. And also, James, thanks so much for all the support you obviously give us here at VT. Abaddon is in my shelf. He's on the top of my cabinet and he's in his own glass little tube. So he's perfectly insulated from dust, spiders, more dust. And I even polished it so it looks sick. And Abaddon is amazing. And obviously the paint job on that just is fantastic. Right, so there's obviously a few people interested in the Academy, which is incredible. Sorry I've spoke so much about it. Obviously, I'm just really passionate about it. I love helping people. I love coaching. The Academy is exactly what keeps this whole thing afloat and helps this whole thing happen, whether it's the stream games, the podcast. It is really our signature course and we absolutely love it so much. And we just want you to be part of it, really, as long as you are, like we said, willing to learn, you're not a win-at-all-cost player, and maybe you just want to get the confidence to go down your local gaming club and play some games. It doesn't have to be about tournaments and the rest of it. It could just be going to, your local gaming store and having the confidence to play a game in 3 hours. And the Academy will certainly help you do that. Ian James has said if it's up high enough, it's insulated from Jake. It certainly is up nice and high, so don't worry about that, Ian. We got that under locker. Thank you for all the new members that have signed up today. Thank you for all of your super chats tonight. It's been wonderful hanging out with you all. Maybe I should do this more often. If you've enjoyed it, let me know, and I'll do it more often. If you like me just answering your questions, I can definitely do that on a more regular basis as well. So, guys, thank you so much. I'll put that link in one more time for you to book in a call with me, that discovery call about the Academy. And I hope you have a fantastic evening. a great weekend, whatever you're up to. And I really look forward to talking to you all next week. It's been a pleasure hanging out. And yeah, I love you all so much. Thanks so much for supporting VT here. And I can't be more grateful for everything you do for us here at the VT. So take care and see you next week.